This tutorial is for the Pendulum board game, the Where I Am edition, as well as the Where Is It edition. This game will improve your intuitive and your psychic abilities. How? Well, this is how I think this game will improve your psychic abilities as well as your intuitive abilities. For many years, I've mentored children, and when I introduce young people to the idea that we are more than our physical bodies, so to speak, to get them to think more expansively about their consciousness, I will use a pendulum to get their attention. And I will use the pendulum by finding a lost object or charging water to infuse it with energy where you can actually taste the difference, or use the pendulum to do something interesting, and all different ways of coming up with something interesting. So anyway, one of the ways that I entertain or teach children about their intuitive abilities to get them to think more intuitively, to think expansively about their consciousness, is again using the pendulum, and using the pendulum to find lost objects. Young people in particular are just really amazed. Anybody, but especially young people, are just amazed at being able to find a lost object using a pendulum. And then the other interesting things using a pendulum, and then learning that the pendulum is an extension of their own consciousness. It just gives them a real awakening and sets them on a journey of more. So with this game, it is designed to help the pendulum user find lost people or missing people or the location of a person. And with this game, there is a board with 20 different locations, and the one player will locate the game board pieces that are in the image of a person on any of the locations. I mean, you can do it one at a time or all the people all at one time, and then the other player who cannot see the location because there is a privacy board blocking the game board where the game board pieces of the people are located. The other player will determine or discern at what number location the person or the game piece person is, and you can identify that, of course, by color. If you're doing all at once, so you identify the colors ahead of time, you write down the colors, and then use the pendulum to show you where the game piece would be. So you would hold the pendulum over the location chart, and the player that's looking for the person will simply think to themselves or ask out loud, at what location is the green game board piece or the red game board piece, or whatever the applicable or the appropriate color is based on the colors in your board game set. And then you just make a note of it. And again, you can do one at a time or all of the pieces at a time. You determine that. There is a sand timer to use, a 2-minute sand timer. You can use that to make it more interesting, to see if you can do it quicker or not. It's up to you. To give you some tips in playing the game, it's important when you're looking for a lost object or person or playing this game to be detached from the outcome. So while you're using your pendulum to locate the game board piece, make sure you allow yourself to feel comfortable, at ease. You're not trying to win. You don't care if you're right or wrong. You're just allowing yourself to perceive what location the game board piece is, and the pendulum, if you allow it to, will identify that location for you. Sometimes it doesn't happen right out the box, no pun intended. Sometimes it takes practice. So another tip is to relax, meditate for a few minutes ahead of time before you start, to just imagine, close your eyes, relax, inhale, exhale, deep inhale, deep exhale, and relax. And then just allow yourself to have fun and imagine that you will be able to locate the missing people on the board when it's your time to do so. Another tip, it's a good idea to just use the same pendulum each time. So while this game board comes with at least one pendulum, it's always good to have a pendulum that you don't share with anyone else, that it's only yours. So this pendulum would be good for this game to share with other people, but you really should have your own pendulum that no one else would use. And if you're going to share this pendulum because you just happen to have just this one board game with one pendulum and it's more than one person, clear the pendulum each time you're done with it by waving your hand or a magnet over the pendulum, running it over cold water for a few minutes, praying over it to release any energy from the person that just used it. Anything that you feel intuitively inclined to use